From the Northeast Georgia Business RadioX studio, this is Northeast Georgia Business Radio. Welcome back, folks, to another exciting edition of Northeast Georgia Business Radio. I'm your host, Tom Sheldon. And yeah, we're coming to you live from the beautiful Empower College and Career Center of Jackson County. I have with me two guests. I always like when the studio is full. But with me today, from the William W. Reed Memorial Treatment Center, I have with me Will Gordon and Aaron Anderson. Gentlemen, welcome to the Northeast studio.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
How are you?
Doing well.
Yeah? Y'all act like you're nervous, man. We're just guys hanging out. You can say anything you want. It's a podcast. It's all right.
All right.
William W. Reed Memorial Treatment Center. Now, surely you guys don't say that entire name all the time. You got to have shortened or something. The Willie Memorial. I don't know. That was horrible. That was horrible.
So that's actually a brand new name. We just changed our name.
Was the first name longer?
So it was originally Robert W. Dale Memorial Treatment Center, and we just changed at the beginning of this week.
Oh, wow.
It's a very new change.
The paint is not dried on the sign yet.
No, well, we haven't put the sign up yet.
You haven't even put the sign up or
but
painted
the paperwork has changed.
Or painted it.
Websites changed, that kind of stuff.
Well, that's like a whole podcast of its own. We got to talk about that. You know?
But for short, Reed Memorial.
Reed Memorial. Well, wow, I wish y'all could have led with that. I would have just said that. All right. Reed Memorial Treatment Center. Medication-assisted treatment, yes?
Yes, that's what we do.
It's a treatment center.
Yes.
Talk to me, gentlemen.
Medication-assisted treatment, we treat opioid use disorder with the medications methadone or buprenorphine. What it does is those medications will prevent somebody from going into withdrawal. They can get on a stable dosage of the medication. It's going to allow them to start working with a counselor, with the support staff, making those changes that need to be made to achieve long-term sobriety, enhancing their life, becoming better parts of the community, better sons, better daughters, a
better person to themselves.
Yeah,
that's where you start, right?
Yeah. And then at some point they can explore tapering off that medication. We can do it in a way where there's very little discomfort, and it's completely patient-driven as to when that is, how long that is. They're in control of when they try to taper. We give them the advice, make sure they have all the information they need, things like that, and then they make the decision as to how they go about it. There's several ways you can go about it. We encourage everybody to try to explore that and eventually get off of it. So.
Of course. Everyone's different, right? What works for me won't work for you and vice versa. Now, you said it's obviously patient-driven. What is long? What is too long? Is someone going to be able to get back to where they need to be within days, weeks, months even? Surely not years.
Sometimes it may take years.
Really?
Everybody's different.
Really?
And there's people that may continue to take the medication for the rest of their life if that's their choice.
Okay. It's geared toward that.
It's geared towards their choice as far as how long they are there.
I got you.
All our staff is encouraged to help them find. I think there's a window of opportunity for that person usually. If it's in the cards, they may be people with pain issues that will always need some form of medication, or the situation doesn't allude to them coming off of it. We want to see them making those changes where they're not in situations where they're confronted with drugs on a regular basis. Obviously not using any substances, any of that stuff going on before they try to taper. And people do leave prematurely sometimes. Yeah. And a lot of times what ends up happening, we see them come back. Or they go to some other mode of treatment. And you're exactly right. Everybody's different. Everybody's going to need something different.
Right.
It may not work for everybody, but it does work for some people. When we're in a situation with this opioid use disorder epidemic that we're in, that I think all forms of treatment need to be explored.
Absolutely.
And need to be available to people, because the biggest thing is they've got to believe that it's going to work.
Well, it's true. They have to accept it.
Yes.
Or that's in any case, to be honest with you.
I come from a background of working in abstinence-based treatment, residential style treatments. That doesn't work for a lot of people. And
Right.
what you'll find is the withdrawal from opioids is so difficult for people that traditional abstinence-based, 12-step, the success rate is very, very low over 2 years.
It's a whole
5
different
years.
animal, correct?
Yes.
The opioid side of it.
And so what you'll find is a lot of people who wouldn't otherwise go to treatment or can't afford to go to spend $10,000 or $30,000 on going to rehab, or who can't take 6 months off work to go to rehab,
Right.
will come to medication-assisted treatment and
Okay.
and be successful.
So it must be reasonably affordable.
It is compared to a lot of treatments if you're talking out-of-pocket costs.
Yeah.
Most people that work a job, can afford it. We're talking less than $100 weekly.
Oh, wow.
And that's counseling, drug screens,
Yeah.
medication, everything.
Does insurance work into this at all?
We're working on that.
Yeah.
We're working on getting some insurance providers that we're working with. We haven't added that yet, but that's coming. So,
But it is possible.
it is possible. It's kind of a new thing.
Okay.
I've been in this field in MAT since 2009.
Right.
So that's something that's kind of came about more regularly in the past 4 or 5 years, where people are taking Medicaid, Medicare, different insurances.
Gotcha.
So we're in the works right now with somebody that's helping us get that set up, hopefully.
That's good. That's good news.
Yeah.
And what you'll find with opioid addiction is people will spend hundreds of dollars a day
Oh, yeah.
to use to
To get the fix.
right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And-
I've known people like that.
And so to most people who are suffering with the disease, $14 a day, it's pretty tempting.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't expect you to say it would be that low. That's awesome. But now you do provide counselors.
Yes. Everybody would have a qualified counselor. Most of our counselors are certified, and that's available to them 7 days a week. They will be assigned a counselor, but we encourage people to come in. If they're in crisis, they need something, if their counselor's not there that day, sit down with somebody else, have that conversation.
But you've got a system in place for that,
Yes.
whether it be the counselor or an assisting staff.
Yes.
Guys, we're going to take a real quick break, get in a community partner. The Barrow County Chamber of Commerce. Hey, it's the perfect place for business. 75 years of working with businesses, educational associates, municipal and county leaders has made the Barrow Chamber the go-to place. Through its Workforce Development Committee, the Barrow Chamber partners with education to deliver a work-ready employee. Barrow Chamber also connects businesswomen for meaningful dialogue, learning opportunities, and support with its Women in Business Committee. Whether you want to find a business, grow a business, or lead a business, the Barrow Chamber is ground zero for the place to start. They also have some monthly functions, business, government, education, bringing it all together at one time. So hey, visit barrowchamber.com today. And also, don't forget to check out our website, negabrx.com, for all our great community partners. Gentlemen, you still there?
We're still here.
Good deal. Good deal. What were we talking about? We were talking about renaming the William W. Reed Memorial Treatment Center. Now, that's named after the founder, correct?
It is. The original founder of the program there, passed away in 2023.
Gotcha.
And as a result of that, and a way to honor him, we had it renamed to William W. Reed Memorial Treatment Center.
Nice. And now you are out in Commerce, right?
We are. We've been there since 2005, so we've been there for a while.
But now people from all over come see you.
Yes, we have people from all over Northeast Georgia, several surrounding counties that come to us for treatment.
Now, I know there's got to be some misconceptions about the treatments you provide. Can we dive into that a little bit?
There's a stigma about medication-assisted treatment that prevents a lot of people from coming, or a lot of people from staying in treatment. Sometimes family members saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be on that stuff. You're basically still an addict." I think it's important for people to understand that the signal your brain sends to your body when you're in withdrawal is equivalent to the signal that it would send if you were starving to death. Very, very difficult to just stop. People are afraid to just stop, or to even go to a detox or a rehab. that keeps a lot of people from ever getting help. And so, I think it's also easy to look at people and say, well, you got yourself into this, you got to take responsibility for it, and this and that. The United States is 4% of the world's population. We prescribe 85% of the world's opioids. So not everybody was just on the street, trying drugs for the first time. A lot of our patients came out of medical situations. A lot of our patients were going to pain clinics at one point, and then when the government started cracking down on the pain clinics, they just got cut off, and which created a huge amount of just people who had to turn to the street to get things.
Well, chronic pain is chronic pain.
Yeah.
No one asked for chronic pain.
No.
Trying to deal with it, well, I guess if you don't have it, it's easy to tell someone to deal with it.
Right.
And it can come, it can come from anywhere. It can be a car wreck. It can be anything, an accident at work, and
fall off a ladder.
You end up in a situation.
Fall 3 feet, you can mess yourself up.
Yeah. And you got to take pain pills for 6 months. And at that point, you have some form of a dependency possibly, and you don't know where to turn. And I've had friends and people I know that have been in that situation from a car accident or whatever. It's a difficult thing to watch and see somebody deal with, and we just want to be there for those people to turn to and let them know that there's hope for that. That's the biggest thing.
Well, I think one of the questions that I know I have, and I'm sure others have, is can someone become addicted to the treatment?
Sure, and that's a great question and a really common question. So the idea is when somebody comes to medication-assisted treatment, they do a full assessment, they are dependent on opiates at that point.
At that point, right.
When they come in, they're dependent on opiates. And so what we have to realize is there's a difference between dependence and addiction.
Sure, yes.
Addiction is defined by the behaviors that go along with it, making poor decisions. So addiction is defined by the impulsivity, the knowing my rent is due tomorrow, but I've got to spend my money today because I'm in withdrawal, and that's all that matters.
Right.
A lot of people are dependent on a lot of different drugs, right? People need their diabetes medications. People, so if you look at addiction.
Hey, people are hooked on caffeine.
Right.
It's a drug.
Including myself. If you look at addiction as a disease, which it's well recognized at this point, it's just a medication to treat the disease. One of the things we get asked commonly is how long can they stay in treatment? It depends. Some people will come in and they will be very motivated to, I want to be in and out of here in 9 months.
Right.
And that works for some people. I've worked with patients in the past who were 65 years old and told me, I've gone to 20 rehabs, I've been in and out of prison, and I've been doing this for 5 years, and it works, and have no desire to leave. And the last thing we would ever want to do is take somebody who's stable, they're working, they're meeting their obligations in life, they're happy, and try and push them into a situation that could cause relapse.
Right. I got to believe what you're doing is a positive in their world. You remove that positive.
Yeah,
you talk about relapse.
We're trying to insert positive.
Exactly.
We're not trying to insert negative into somebody's life. And I've talked to a lot of people about this stuff. One of the things I hear a lot when you talk to people that's not familiar with it is it's trading one drug for another. But that's not the case. We allow somebody to work on themselves and give them the support they need to do that. Right. In no way is their life, while actively using opiates out on the street, allowing them to do that.
Right. That's going to end badly.
Yeah, that's going to end badly, and it ends in jails, institutions, and death. That's what that's what it leads to.
And destroying those around them.
And we're trying to stop that and give them an opportunity to improve their situation.
To get past that.
And to change the outcome of the situation they're in. Whether they come there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, or 15 years.
It's not the point.
It's not the point. Did they make improvements?
They're a better person.
Yes. Did their life get better?
I got you. What does a regiment look like? Someone enters into the program, regardless of how long it's going to be. Is this a daily medication? Is this checking in with counselors? Walk me through this.
So one of the reasons that the MAT medications, methadone, buprenorphine, work differently than the drugs you see people taking on the street is that you can take one dose a day and not have to get anything else. People will spend $100 to get high for 4 hours, and 6 hours later they'll be sick. They'll need another $100. So what's different about these drugs is they don't get you high. I mean, that's kind of goes along with what Will said, is that trading one drug for another or trading an illegal high for a legal high. And I'm just going to read to you from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, SAMHSA, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. According to SAMHSA, when asked, do methadone and buprenorphine impair physical or mental functioning? Quote, when provided at the appropriate dose to a person stabilized on methadone or buprenorphine, these medications have no adverse effects on intelligence, mental capability, physical functioning, or employability. Research studies demonstrate that MAT patients are comparable to non-patients in reaction time and their ability to learn, focus, and make complex judgments.
If it's keeping them off the stuff that kills them, it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. You know, and you asked what the regimen is, and that's a big part of what we're getting at. You know, the medication is a tool. And a lot of people come there because of the medication. Obviously, they don't want to go in and out of withdrawal every day. And Aaron's talking about the long-acting nature of the medications we use. You can take it one time a day. You don't have withdrawal. You don't have to keep searching during the day for another thing to keep you from going into withdrawal.
Right.
But when people come to see us, they're met, with somebody there. It's a safe place for them to come to. It may be the only safe place they go to.
It could very well be.
All week, all day. New patients, and that's one of the reasons we have everybody at first. They come to us 5-6 days a week, 6 days a week. So they come Monday through Saturday. They come in every day. They come in every day to receive their medication. Their counselor's there if they need to see them. They're seeing a counselor even if they don't want to. The first few weeks, once or twice a week, to check in, make sure that everything's going well with them and everything. So
positive reinforcement.
Yes, and that's what we want to be. Most of our patients come in and they feel at home. They feel like they can come in there and be themselves, tell us what's going on with them, and that's our goal.
Your goal is to help them ultimately.
Yeah.
It's a roadmap. We're all going to get to the same spot, just maybe not the same way.
Exactly.
Now I got to ask. Obviously, women go through treatment, right? Men and women both. Women become pregnant. Now, someone who is pregnant, can they go through the treatment?
There's actually a law in place. If a pregnant woman shows up at our clinic, we have to prioritize their intake.
Oh, really?
We have to treat regardless of their ability to pay. What we do know is that opioid withdrawal, if you are addicted to fentanyl, you're addicted to heroin, opioid withdrawal is very dangerous to an unborn baby. It can cause a miscarriage. It can cause all kinds of unwanted effects on a pregnancy.
Pure stress.
What taking medication allows them to do is to be stable, to not be going through that constant cycle of withdrawal high,
right,
which would happen hundreds of times, and it's a daily occurrence if you're addicted to opioids. And so it will allow a person to stabilize. And we've had a lot of great success stories of people who came in.
Good deal.
Usually your OBGYN would recommend this treatment to you.
And we work closely. We have a very good medical staff. I love our staff. Our staff I would put them up against anybody, to be honest. And we work closely with the OBGYNs, monitoring the pregnancy, talking with them when needed, those kind of things. We want to make sure they're safe and ultimately that the baby is safe as well, and we're doing what's best for the patient and the people around them, and that's including an unborn child if they're pregnant.
You mentioned the success rate. I got to believe it's high, but I got to believe the way success is viewed is just a person improving upon themselves. I hope it is.
And it is, and it's considered harm reduction. So there could be people that we would view for tracking purposes as maybe, I don't want to say not being successful, but they're still making improvements. According to paper, they may still have something in their drug screen that month, but that doesn't mean that they didn't make any kind of improvement upon their life.
True.
They may, whatever that may be. Mm-hmm. But we hover around 80% of our patients are compliant with their drug screens on a month-to-month basis, which is something I'm proud of. I mean, you don't see that in a lot of modes of treatment. Aaron mentioned abstinence-based. residential, those kind of treatments. And a lot of times, if you're getting people sober for 2 to 5 years in those situations at a 50% rate, that's really successful. And most of our people are able to, abstain from opiates as well as other illicit substances at about an 80% clip
That's
per
awesome.
month.
That's awesome.
No, that's something that, that's hard to achieve.
Yeah.
And it says a lot about the patients. They put in the work. We just try to be there to support them and give them what they need to achieve their goals. And what they see is where they want their life to go.
Gotcha.
And so there's not a lot of common drugs on the street that are going to cause you to die right now. There's a methamphetamine issue all throughout the country at this point. Unlikely it's going to cause you to die right now. It's something that needs to be addressed. A lot of our patients come in with co-occurring addictions. They may be using methamphetamine. They may be using opioids. You could walk out the door and take fentanyl in 10 minutes and be gone.
Yeah.
What the medication allows us to do is to start to work with people on some of those issues while they're safe. It gives them something that they can be safe, and then they can actually put focus into working on the other addictions and the other issues in their life.
With what he's talking about with the fentanyl, that's something in this area. Like I said, I've worked in this field since 2009 in MAT. I've worked at this facility since 2009. The first part of my career, we didn't see a lot of heroin. Fentanyl was unheard of. Most of the people that we saw were taking pain pills. We didn't deal with people that were experiencing a lot of overdoses on a regular basis. In the past few years, fentanyl has become the number one thing we see.
Really? It is number one.
I would say so.
That scares the heck out of me.
And it is scary. It's scary. We're seeing more and more overdoses, more and more people that are using intravenously or using needles, which is a very risky behavior. So it's important as a community here in Northeast Georgia and Jackson County and the larger area that we keep that in mind, because a lot of times we don't see it. The general public may not realize how bad that's going on. I know I have family members and friends that talk about fentanyl, and they still think it's something that's on a card at a windshield. They don't realize people are intentionally using this stuff on the street, and it's really dangerous.
Yeah.
So we need to exhaust every resource we can have. That's us, residential treatments, whatever people are willing to do to try to change that behavior, because we're going to lose people if we don't.
This part of Georgia has a particularly large per capita use of fentanyl. If people don't know about fentanyl, as far as strength goes and what it does to somebody, fentanyl makes heroin look like baby formula.
Right.
It's very,
hidden
very
and
potent.
stuff, isn't it? No?
It was at a time, right?
Okay.
Like you would hear about
Something
people,
laced with it.
Right. You would hear about people buying heroin and there was some fentanyl mixed in it. At this point, people know where to just go get straight fentanyl.
Do they really?
Yeah.
And that's what surprises people.
That shocks me.
But that's what, what we've seen in a lot of ways is I think there's been a lot done to stop the pain pill market.
Yeah.
And something fills that void.
Create a vacuum.
That's how
Something fills
black
that
market
vacuum.
stuff works.
That's right.
You do away with one and something else is going to pop up, and this seems to be what is filling that void because it became readily available, whatever. But it's a problem. It's something that we as a community and as a state, as a nation, whatever, we have to address it. And you can't stick your head in the sand because eventually, like I said before, we're all affected by addiction one way or another.
Yeah.
Whether it's a family member, a friend, it will hit you at some point where somebody you love is affected by that. And it's a sad thing to go through.
I never really thought you got addicted to fentanyl. I figured it would honestly kill you before you got addicted to it. How is anyone dealing with straight fentanyl?
Well, and that's another thing. You're talking about black market stuff. There's no way to know exactly what they're getting.
Well, that's true, too.
It may not be straight fentanyl. It may be just that's what somebody's telling them. But then
That's
that
true.
person gets a hold of something that is this or, and then that's a really dangerous situation.
Right.
The biggest thing I want to reiterate is, like I was talking about, through experience, we see more and more people that are experiencing overdoses than I remember in my career doing this. It might have been rare to have somebody come in for intake and them have one overdose in a lifetime. And now we'll see people coming in sometimes having 4 or 5 in the last year.
Wow. Wow.
And that's
In a year.
In a year.
Wow.
it's a scary situation.
So now, how do the folks find you? How do people get to the clinic? You are in Commerce.
Yes, most people, I would say the best way is to give us a phone call. And that can be, if there's any questions or anything, we'll do whatever we can to answer those, point you in the right direction. If you feel uncomfortable with treatment with us, then, we'll try to find you somewhere you do feel comfortable. We just want to see you get better. The phone number you can call 706-335-5180. And if it's after hours, you can actually call 706-708-6398. That's an emergency line, but I'm more than happy to talk people through whatever they're going through. The website, we do have a website. It's www.wordpress.com. You can also find us on Facebook by looking up William W. Reed Memorial Treatment Center.
And you're there.
And we're there. And it's got the website, phone numbers, and everything linked.
Well, gentlemen, thanks for coming in.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yes.
This honestly is a topic I don't know a lot about. I honestly don't.
Well, that's the biggest thing, is getting information to people.
Yeah.
So people do have more of an understanding, because
And I know I've
don't.
driven by your place 100 times at least.
most people don't realize it's there.
Yeah. What's that place? I don't know. Nice sign. No.
Well, we actually don't even have a sign.
Don't even have the sign yet. I know you. It hadn't even painted it. But thank you for doing what you're doing for the community.
No,
The cliche, if you just help one person, well, you know what? I'll take just helping one person.
no, that's
But maybe there's 2 or 3. You never know.
that's the big thing. You can help one person, and then that becomes exponential. If you see one person get better, they may see 10 people get better, and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
And
And
that's
the
the goal.
families around them get better. And gentlemen, thanks again. They're going to play some music. We'll get out of here. Yep, there they go. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Folks, check out William W. Reed Memorial Treatment Center. Google it, or www.memorial@wordpress.com. Give them a call if you know someone. Maybe you need help yourself. 706-335-5180. I'm Tom Sheldon. We'll talk to you soon.